Now, if mothers and daughters and sisters are the family that we're born with, friends are the family we choose. Our family loves us. They have to, right? Our friends love us because they want to. And we instinctively, as women, we know how important friends are in our lives. And there's actual research to explain this. They did a study out at UCLA, and they said that when women are stressed, they are flooded with a hormone that actually makes them seek out friends for comfort and relief. Men, when they are stressed, tend to withdraw into themselves. So the fact that we have relationships is not an accident. It's actually physiological. Now, in recent years, there's been a great deal of attention paid to women and their friendships. I mean, all those books about girlfriends, and everybody's talking about how fabulous girlfriendships are. But the truth of the matter is, women do not own the friendship franchise. Men also are capable of deep and profound relationships. In fact, when we were working on our book, Best Friends, which was the only one of the trilogy that actually had male stories in it, and we would interview men, and they would try to describe what their relationship was like, inevitably they would always say, it's the kind of thing that women have. And they would go to the female model. Now, there was a beautiful example of this kind of male intimate friendship from Maury Schwartz. You remember the book Tuesdays with Maury? Well, we were very fortunate through my partner, the photographer Sharon Walmuth, to make a connection with Maury before he died. And we were able to tape a conversation between Maury and his best friend, Charlie. And the conversation, at that point, Maury was very, very, very ill with Lou Gehrig's disease and very, very frail. But this was the conversation that they had. He was holding Maury's hand with barely the strength that it would take to hold on to a balloon. And his voice was just a raspy whisper. Charlie, Charlie, you've given me 25 years of love. Could always depend on you. Always there when I needed you. Oh, I don't think I would have made it without you, Maury, Charlie says. You taught me what it meant to be intimate. That's the whole point of friendship. You allow me to be who I am, and you help me be the person I was meant to be. What a beautiful definition of a best friend, Charlie says. Someone who helps you be what you most want to be. Oh, Charlie. Charlie, my best friend, my best person. It would have been a real loss in my life if I hadn't had you for my friend. Charlie kisses Maury's very clammy forehead. Made a lot of life for each other, buddy. Made it beautiful for each other, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah. Maury died a few days later. Charlie was not with him, he was at home. But he said that at the moment that Maury died, he felt a stab enter his heart, and he knew that Maury was gone. And at that moment, he drew comfort from something Maury had told him, that death ends a life, but it does not end a relationship. Now, my best friend is someone I have known since I was 3 years old. She moved into my neighborhood, she pushed me off my tricycle, I forgave her, and we became best friends. Now, you know, friendships start in all kinds of ways. I'm sure everyone in this room has a story of how their best friendship began. But they all have universal themes that they share. A best friend is a safe harbor, a guaranteed comfort zone, where you can let down your hair and not worry that you're making a fool of yourself. Friends don't compete. They don't judge. and they'll never make you ashamed or embarrassed about your behavior. Friends bring casseroles and scrub your bathroom when you're sick. They give you advice when you ask for it, and sometimes you take it. And they're not angry with you when you don't. You know, when you think about it, a friendship, a best friend, it's like a love affair without sex. A good girlfriend will not yammer behind your back. You know how a husband promises to love, honor, obey? I think they don't do the obey thing anymore. But anyway, what a girlfriend promises, whether it's spoken or not, is to love, to listen, and keep her mouth shut. Remember Linda Tripp and Monica Lewinsky? That's why that was not a best friend. Yeah. A friend pulls you out of jams. She doesn't get you into them. And most important, friends are truly there for you in an instant when the hard times come. When you lose a job or a spouse. When your children break your heart. And when your parents' minds and bodies start to fail. Friends are a mutual admiration society. What you see reflected in your friend's eyes is the wonderful person you want to be. Now, there's one category of friendship that is born in a very strange way, and that is when two people share a really wonderful or horrible experience that bonds them in a way that nobody else can understand. And that was the case with Anna and Regina. These two women met during the Nazi horror, and they found that they were girls. They were 14 and 16 years old. They'd been taken from their families and put into work camps. And it happened that they were moved to 2 or 3 different camps, and every time they would see each other. And just that familiar face formed a bond because there was no family there, and they developed a friendship. At one point, Anna had been taken away, and Regina didn't know where she was. And she was actually, as it turned out, in one of the camps with a gas chamber. She was slated to die. And one day, a transport arrived. You know, the trucks where they would take people from one camp to another. And whenever a transport arrived, everybody in the camp would come out because you were always looking to see if a relative was there. And Regina was on the truck. And they had given them a loaf of bread for this entire several-day journey. That was all they had to eat. And when Regina got off the truck and she saw Anna so thin, so emaciated, she instinctively threw her the crust of bread. Thank God a guard didn't see them, or they both would have been instantly shot. That night, Anna crept into Regina's barracks and gave her back the bread and said to her, "Keep this. You'll need it. They don't feed you here." By the grace of God, the war ended and they were liberated before they were gassed. And they were sent off to different repatriation camps and to make new lives. Several years later, 7, 8, 10 years later, on a balmy spring day, Regina and her husband now, they were located by HIAS, the Hebrew Immigration Society, had sent them to Boston. And they were placed in this neighborhood, and they went out to take a walk. We would meet each other again in the United States of America. It was like a miracle. And right away, we became so very close. Best girlfriends. We learned to play cards like American madams. We would take turns making New Year's Eve parties. Holidays, we'd be together. Anna, she'd do these beautiful dinners. Always she'd come, she'd help me whatever I need. I gotta go someplace, she'll come, she'll take my kids. 15 times a day I'm calling her, Anna, are you coming, are you going? Friends like that you don't find very often. Births, weddings, graduations, illnesses, deaths. They celebrated, they grieved with each other. You can't explain our closeness, Anna says in her reserved way. We have no families. We only have each other. Ugh. If I could talk from today, from tomorrow to Purim, I can't tell you what it was like in those camps. No, Regina says, I was just a girl. What did I know of anything? What did Anna know? She was young, she was pretty, she was full of life. And what did they do to us? They took our families to the gas chamber, and that's where we were headed to. If I could have my real sister today, I could not love her more than Anna. Oh, we're very different. She's serious. I'm never serious. But I adore her all the time. All the time. I could be mad at anybody. I could not be mad at Anna. I will die loving her. Well, the themes that make friendships are the same, believe it or not, for the very rich and famous as they are for you and me. Larry King, you all know who Larry King is, and Herbie Cohen met in Brooklyn in the principal's office when they were in 6th grade. Larry had been charged with talking in the hall. He would go on to make a big career out of talking. Herb had done something awful like going up the down staircase, and immediately they recognized each other as fellow smart alecks, and in no time at all, they became best friends. This is a scene from their childhood. Herbie speaks. We weren't exactly bad kids, you know, like the wise guys on the other side of Ocean Parkway. We were more like what you would call an attitude problem. You know, in those days, if you hummed or you chewed gum in class, you were an attitude problem. I would guess that the worst thing we ever did was stealing the furniture for our clubhouse. Larry, I would have called that interior decoration. Herb, yeah, well, anyway, you see, there were these apartments, and they had furniture in the lobby. Now, to sneak in at night, break windows, destroy property, that would be unseemly. It would be criminal. So we'd go in during the day. We'd rolled up our sleeves. We had these hats we borrowed from a guy who drove a bus. We'd ring the super's bell, and we'd say, upholstery, landlord told us to pick up the furniture to get upholstered. Could you help us out with it? He would hold the door, and we'd tell him we'd have it back in, you know, about 3 weeks. We like to think of it as converting, not stealing. Scenes from 7 Marriages. Herb. The night we consummated our marriage, I have my arm around Ellen. I'm holding her tenderly, and she says to me, she says, darling, who do you love the most? I think for a while. I say, Larry number 1, you number 2? The woman gets angry. I tried to explain to her, look, I just met you. Larry, I've known a long, long time. I mean, you'll move up over the years. You can get to be number 1 if you behave yourself. She's kind of tied for number 1 now. Larry, if you look at the pictures at Herb's kid's bar mitzvah, you'd think the boy was raised by 2 gay guys. No mother. Every picture, it's Herbie, me, Herbie and me. You can't find pictures of Herbie and Ellen. Herb, I like best the one of you and me dancing. Larry, I always dance with Herbie. At my 60th birthday party, I dance with Herbie. At all my weddings, all 7 of them, I dance with Herbie. Scene from the present. We're riding in the back of a limousine. Larry gets very emotional. He says, I can only tell you that Herbie is the one person other than my family that I would want to die before. Come to think of it, it'd be nice if we could get buried together. Herb, yeah, like in Cody, Wyoming, so the kids wouldn't feel guilty about coming to visit our graves. Larry, you know, plots are cheap there. And they don't deface Jewish graves because they don't know what a Jew is. And it would be very nice if somebody would come there and bring us the news. Herb, yeah, nice if every Sunday they'd bring us the Times and a bagel. Larry, I'd like that. The Times, a bagel, and Herbie next to me forever. That's sweet. You know, we could not balance our lives without our relationships. Our relationships are like the lifelines that hold us together. They lift us up to celebrate. They pull us through the bad times. They keep us from unraveling these ties that bind. They stretch, they bend, they knot, but they cannot be broken. I want to leave you with a story that was told to me by an old friend. You remember Irv Homer when I used to be on TV with Irv? This is actually a story that Irv told me. One day he got a letter in the mail from someone that he hadn't seen in many, many years. And the letter said, "Dear Irv, in these last few months, I have lain awake at night analyzing my past and contemplating my future. And it occurred to me that there were many people through the years that I've been really grateful to. People whose presence in my life I so appreciated, but I never thought to tell them so out loud. The more I thought about it, the longer the list became. And there were even people that maybe had just a brief pass in my life. They came into my mind. And some of them were every bit as important as the people that are in my life today. And I realized that if you are lucky enough to recognize the importance of a person and learn something from them, from some experience that you shared, you should let them know." I guess this letter will come as a surprise to you, but I hope it makes you feel special. Because know that however brief or long ago you were in my life, or maybe still are, I think about you. And I thank God that I was lucky enough to have you there. Whether you listened to me go on and on about something, or you gave me encouragement or advice, or we shared some experience, whether it was the smallest or the largest thing, you played a big part in my life. And I wanted to thank you. I hope this letter and my talk tonight inspires you to leave here to think about your connections, to remember the significant people who have walked through your life, your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your best friends. Take note of those who left their footprints on your heart, and when you leave here tonight, call them and tell them how much they mattered. Thank you.